Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Here.
David Davis.
Here.
Daniel Deal.
Here.
Louis Eskimov.
Here.
Mark Evans. Jeremy Kinsey.
Here.
John Pippinger.
Here.
Samantha Franklin. And James Wade.
Here. First is approval of minutes of previous meeting. Motion to approve and approve minutes. Got a motion from John, second by Samantha. Any discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Louis Eskimov.
Yes.
Mark Evans. Jeremy Kinsey. John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Franklin. Yes. And James Wade.
Yes.
February 3, John. Who made that motion?
John.
And who passed?
Samantha, second. Next is approval of reports to officers. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by John, second by Samantha. Any discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Louis Eskimov.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Franklin. Yes. And James Wade.
Yes. Next is approval of notaries. We got two, that, how many we had total? How many I got? Make sure I don't miss anybody. One is Crystal Pipe from Benton, Tennessee. Second, C.A. Dalton from Reliance. Is that all of them?
Yeah, motion to approve both.
Motion by John, second by Samantha. Any discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Louis Eskimov.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
John Pippinger.
Yes.
Samantha Franklin. Yes. And James Wade.
Yes. Next is budget amendments. We didn't hand out none tonight, did we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got these right here. I got three, no, two right here.
Should be 19, 16 through 19.
I got 16, 17, 18, 2, so I see it's over total, right, 4. Amendment number 16 is from trees. It's to move $1,000 from undesignated fund balance, $1,018.58, and $210.75 from airport maintenance line, and move it to Parks and Recs in the amount of $1,018.58, and airport, does that be airport improvement?
Yeah, it should be airport.
In the amount of $210.75. Number 17 is from county executive. Proposed source of funds is from other government money in the amount of $7,500, and move it to county buildings, maintenance and repair for $7,500. Number 18 is from Jackie Rogers. County clerk travel line in the amount of $500 is coming out of, and moving it into county clerk office supplies in the amount of $500. Number 19 is from the library. Is this their undesignated? What is that?
Stand back.
Do what?
You call the amendment number wrong.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's number 18, I just done that one. It's from the library in the amount $24,963 from undesignated, going into library instructional supplies in the same amount, $24,963.
I'm gonna go ahead and ask, Mr. Chairman, what's still on there, and that's our fund balance to,
Yeah, I was wondering, is that our fund balance?
yeah, that's gonna go 139,000.
No, it's just flow through.
Is it flow through?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's closed for the purchase of computers outside.
We'll have no effect on our bottom.
Okay.
It's a use or lose type of deal. That's 16, 17, 18, 19.
Motion to approve all 101 amendments.
Motion from John, second by Samantha. Any discussion on the budget amendment? Roll call.
Greg Brooks,
Yes.
Debbie Davis,
Yes.
Daniel Deal,
Yes.
Willie Estimov,
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey,
Yes.
John Kipinger,
Yes.
Samantha Trapper, and James Wade.
Yes.
You do have something.
Yeah, we got something from the
School.
Go for it.
school. We just got one.
No. There's a whole bunch of them.
141, general purpose.
James, you don't read these, it's easier if you do them.
Let's
Explain
read
it. You don't care.
That's good.
You can explain it better.
I might have to use my notes. Let's read off the hood. Oh, yeah. If you wanna go to the general fund, amendment number 1,
This is general fund.
it says on the front, general fund, amendment 1. Let's look at that one first. I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about it here. This is all flow-through money. It involves LEAPS, 21st Century, Family Resource, Preschool, Coordinated School Health, all grants. It's all flow-through money.
And I think we do this about every year, don't
Every year. It's called that cleanup.
we? Yeah.
What's your total in and out on these guys on 101?
I'm sorry,
On your general fund, what's your total in and out? Your total, bottom line.
What's your total in and out on the bottom line?
look at, first page.
You don't have it total, you just have it by
Right.
each total grant.
Right.
It's on the last page, 289,790. John.
It is on the last.
514,79.
No, there's another one.
I said 514,679.
Does that
That's
gotta be,
maxed out, isn't it?
does that gotta be answered tonight since it's flow through money?
This will not cost anybody anything.
Right.
This is grant. I mean, but I can find that out real quick.
No, we've got it, it's 514,279 on
Okay.
preschool grant. Yeah, so it's 5 categories, you got 5 categories.
See, we have to wait on that. We have to call that money down and we have to wait on those to come in. And as they come in, we group them together and that's what that is.
Okay, what about this? I make a motion to accept general fund amendment number 1 for schools.
Got a motion from John, second by Samantha. Any discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks,
Yes.
Debbie Davis,
Yes.
Daniel Deal,
Yes.
Willie Estimov,
That's for conflict.
Jeremy Kinsey,
Yes.
John Kipinger,
Yes.
Samantha Trapper, and James Wade.
Yes.
I forgot that.
Looks like 141.
Second.
You have a federal funds amendment number 1.
That's what I was trying to say. I'm sorry, it's number 1 off there.
If you go to number 1.
Yeah, the
federal-
second number 1, the federal fund.
Federal is all 3 of the ESSER grants, COVID relief money, ESSER 1, ESSER 2, and ESSER 3. That's what that is. And it just comes in, we got final approval from ESSER 3.0. And so we have to get their approval. We accept that money from
Federal funds.
federal funds, and then when our board approves accepting that money, we have to have you let us accept that money.
And this is the ESSER only, right?
Yes.
It's completely within the federal.
This is completely federal guidelines with ESSER 1, 2, and 3. Okay?
I make a motion to approve the Department of Education federal fund amendment number 1.
I'll second.
And I have any of those budgets, all those budgets, anytime anybody wants to see them, we accepted this at 3.0 Monday night at the tune of about 4.1 million. But keep in mind, I mean, that has, so that money's coming. It's like me saying, I'm gonna give you $1,000, Mr. Brooks, for passing this. No, just kidding.
So what about the rest?
I'm gonna give you $1,000, but I'm gonna tell you how to spend every dime of that. So that's what we got. Well, I'm gonna buy a new lawnmower. No, you're not.
Kinda like the ARP money we've been discussing for the last
That's
3
what
months.
it's like.
I've got a motion by John and a second by Debbie. Any more discussion? Roll call.
Terry Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Steve Yasmin.
Yes.
Gary McKenzie.
Yes.
John Kipinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trumbull. Yes. And James Wade.
Yes.
Now the reading of budget amendment number 2.
Yes. This one's a little bit more of a stickler, because our budget is not going to be approved at the State Department level because we do not meet maintenance of effort. So this is an attempt to fix maintenance of effort. I mean, if you don't work in this, it can get kind of complicated, but I'm gonna try to make it as simple as possible, because I know you all don't work in this, and you won't know a lot about it, you shouldn't. But it's the same lines as, we ran the school system on $100 last year, and some of those line items did not. Let's just say, this is not good. All right.
Yeah,
Let's say, you know how taxes come in, land taxes come in, and they never come in at 100%. They come in at whatever percent. Well, lots of our revenues are like that. They come in over or they come in under. And so when Treva did the budget this year, she adjusted for some of those that were not coming in, because if you list that you're gonna get $120,000 on your budget, and then you only get 100, or you get 80, then you have a shortfall in your budget. So for the past 5 years, we would trim our revenues so that it would look more like real money, so that we would not be in the red at the end. Because when we're red at the end, you all know, we don't, traditionally, I don't come to you and say, we're in the red, you need to bail us out.
Yeah, you do.
No, we don't. What we do is use fund balance
Remember school budget?
and fix that. School bus is not in the red,
No.
that's just your responsibility. So, in the attempt to trim revenues down to be closer to what they were, the State Department kicked it back and said, you cannot do that much in certain line items because you're not meeting maintenance of effort. You're trying to trim it lower than what you operated on last year and the year before, and you cannot ask to pass a budget that is lower in those revenue items than it was last year. And so we're moving that money back up some in those revenue items so that our budget can be passed and we meet maintenance of effort. Now, the question that I had myself for the last 2 days as we worked on this with the State Department is, as our county commission passes for us to raise those numbers back up, they are not responsible to get, they said no, they're not responsible to give you that money, because they already have allotted the money that they're going to give to you when they pass your budget. And so when you get to the end of the year, if you dip into that money where you raise the revenues, then you're responsible for it from your fund balance. We are. So, I mean, it's all about maintenance of effort.
What's your total lead?
$237,000.
237 to total. How you gonna show, you gonna have to show?
No, let me go back. So this is what we budgeted on the far left.
Yeah.
This is how much that we have to raise those items to meet maintenance of effort, and then the total is on the right,
Okay, so you're 117.
117. coming from those four items. And one of those is clerk and master, one of it is payment in lieu of other taxes, one of them is bank excise tax, and one of them is business tax. So,
But you're doing a projected amendment to your budget.
yes,
You're doing an amended budget, actual amended budget, not just a budget amendment. So you want to take it, and you're going to resubmit it to the state.
yes,
On the maintenance effort.
yes.
So it filled the formula.
If you're
I thought
for
we
it,
had, I thought we run it through the formula and it passed before we seen it.
it did not.
Okay.
I mean, the worst part of it is in doing this, we can't spend that money, you know? Because we realize we are probably not really going to get that money. That's why we trimmed that in the first place, so that it would be more like the actual money we're getting, so that when we get to the end, we're not in the red.
Like they say, budgets are
Fluid,
imaginary.
yeah, fluid
Instruments.
working documents.
Motion to approve 141.
Let me just tell you this.
Amendment number 2.
Obviously, I wouldn't be trying to pull a fast one to a county commission with the county executive sitting here, but I don't have any hidden games here. This is just maintenance of effort and an attempt to get out of that problem.
Hey,
I
James.
mean, I'm not buying big screen TVs or making car payments or anything.
James.
Huh?
We done got you on tape. Saying that it's not gonna come out of the county's. We're okay.
Yeah, fund balance, not gonna cost us, I
We
thought that was the key points
We got
there.
the key points. We appreciate you explaining it though. I second the motion.
Motion for John, second for Daniel, any more discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Louis Estimov.
Yes.
Jeremy Campbell.
Yes.
John Kipinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent. Yes. And James Woody.
Yes.
Next is VC Twin Lakes Broadband Resolution to adopt Commission Pittsburgh. I say number one.
I'm going to put that on, I'm not requesting to put that on hold for February.
We don't want to put it on January just in case. I mean, you don't never know.
Sure.
We'll put it on January just to be on the safe side and next is building permits, Commissioner Davis.
This got, had made a kind of a proposition to try to go up on the, building permits just a little bit, from $25 to $100, just to try to generate a little bit of money from people that had, you know, a little money, if they were building or doing anything, that kind of contribute instead of everything always having to come out from mom and pop that don't have a dime living off $700 a month. But we can't do it. We can't even go up to $100 because, which is, I mean, we don't have a zoning, which I don't want zoning. We don't have a building permit. Don't want that. I mean, they build an inspector. Don't have that. So that knocks it in the head. You can't go up because all we're charging for is clerical work. And so, anyway, so that's done. We can't go up. So, end of the story on that.
Let's see, I got number 7 is I have it on our Uptown Courthouse. I believe initially we was going, and we're gonna get it fixed. We're still unclear where the funds may have to come from. I like to, as county executive Asher, take RFPs. I think what we agreed at the building committee, make this first thing, we gotta fix the roof. There's no sense in fixing anything else. Get RFP on, he approves, like, it's worked good at the election commission and the community center here. We just framed it up. Cause flat roofs, you throw money at them all day, and they're gonna start leaking again, just a matter of time. It's worked really good here and the election commission, and if we get bids on a hip roof or a metal roof, and that'd be step one, and let's get that price.
Should we get one for shingles or metal, Greg, just to see the difference, or, I'm a metal person too, but I mean, should we?
Whatever y'all wanna do, I know metal's got a better warranty on it.
And just put it on there for both. I mean, an extra 3 words in the RFP and it'll be fixed.
Should we go to the RFPs before we know where the money's coming, because the RFPs may run out, the bids may run out.
We know what
Have
the
to
money
rebid.
is. There is money in that account for,
Courtroom
courthouse.
account, okay.
Courthouse, courtroom, security and repair, you get asked about it at that time, and I
Okay.
checked with Patrice that there is enough money that should be substantial to the job.
All right, I make the motion that we go out for bid.
I'll second it.
Motion by Dewey, second by John Holt, any more discussion on Buck County Courthouse? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
Sean Tippensbrook.
Yes.
Samantha Franklin. Yes. And James Wade.
Yes.
Next is show barn bids, county executive pay.
You all talked verbally about refusing all bids, but you all did not vote to turn it down and
I
go
make
back
a
to
motion to turn down all bids that were turned in previous to the last RFP and all bidders.
Motion by
that
John
one.
Holt, second by Dewey. Any more discussion on our cleanup work? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
Sean Tippensbrook.
Yes.
Samantha Franklin. Yes. And James Wade.
Yes.
Next is employee comp time, county clerk.
Mr. Chairman, we've got some issues with the revised time that was turned in. There are days on there that the person was on vacation. There are days on there where they include their lunch hours. There are days on there where they include days off. So until it's cleared up, we do not need to proceed on this. In fact, talking with the auditor in Nashville, there could be some possible malfeasance in this. So I make a motion that we table this until it's cleared up.
Second motion. Motion by Dewey, second by James, any discussion? Roll call.
Greg Brooks.
Yes.
Debbie Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey. Sean Tippensbrook.
Pass.
Samantha Franklin. Yes. And James Wade.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, you vote, John Holt?
Nope. I appreciate that, Greg.
I just want, y'all always go back change your vote.
Someone will let her know what she needs to do.
What do we want her
Do
to
that.
come to the meeting?
Yes, it needs to be explained. I make a motion, you tell her.
Conflict of interest.
I passed on it, so I'll tell it. What is it we won't tell it?
We need explanation on this time.
Okay.
So what did she hand out tonight? Or did we get,
The
It's
document.
right there. It was in the packet.
y'all know, I can't find it, I don't know what's
Here,
there.
Brooks.
Go ahead.
Oh.
What is this, John, what's this, thank you, Commissioner Pickett? Correct time.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Brooks, let's see, that would be when I pointed out that it was straight time instead of time and a half, and anything over 40 hours, except for law enforcement, 41 hours starts at time and a half, compensatory or overtime. Remember last meeting, you were here, I don't know if you heard me, but, yeah, remember?
Well, I'm just saying she may have done what we asked her to.
Oh, I don't know, she's just thanking me for pointing out that it was standard time instead of time and a half.
When you compare the times and the days on there to the time she was the employee, stuff don't match up.
Boy, it'd be,
And
Motion passes.
also, we need to let everybody be aware that if they're counting lunch hours, or they've got the place closed, you cannot put them on your timesheet. If you leave early, you cannot put them on your timesheet. Audit is gonna be checking this year. So if you only work 32 hours in a week, you're getting a salary, whether you work the 32 or the 40. So it doesn't really matter, but you need to show exactly what you worked, not what the date is contained. So the auditor's gonna be looking strongly at that. And people that let people off need to make sure that their people are not falling below the threshold of being a full-time worker.
So 32 hours is full-time,
Yes,
and they should be paid.
they're a salaried
They're
employee.
salaried.
So it doesn't matter if you let them off. But those hours gotta be made up in comp time. They can't get comp time until they go over the 40, which means if I work 32 and I work on the weekend or something, having court or something, and I've got another 4 hours at court, I'm only up to 36 then. I can't get reimbursed for that.
I think there's probably, like I say, I mean, you know, it's just been, I think a lot of things has just been kind of thrown out there, and everybody's interpreted it in their own way. And not meaning nobody's trying to do anything bad or illegal or anything like that. It's just, it ain't been set in stone, you know, in a good manner. And so I think this is going to get everything brought into play to where everybody should get real clear on how to do this. I mean, we want everybody paid for every minute they work.
Absolutely.
Every minute. But we just, you know, if Susie Q in one office gets it and Dolores in the next office finds out, then you've got war, you know.
See, isn't each office over their office?
They're over their office.
Okay.
There's,
But so
they can't
if your
say-
office gets mad at me because I let mine
No, that don't work.
take
No.
on, that's
It
not
is-
my fault.
No.
That
Their
doesn't
office
really
owner
matter.
can change whatever they want to do,
As long as you've got your people doing the work and they're working hours that you say they're working, that's great.
and that's what I want to do.
Okay, but
I don't care if somebody up in somebody else's office gets mad, I don't want to do.
Well, what I was referring to though was like,
That's not mine.
yeah, was on comp time,
Okay.
you know.
like when I asked
Oh, I
them,
don't do comp.
Right, that's what I know, that's what, I've always said, y'all are the boss, you know, do with your employees what you wanna do.
there's only certain offices in the county that's allowed comp time, and that's only for their discretion.
but you have to work for you.
Right.
But yeah, you have to do 40 hours.
I
On most
understand that,
offices,
I
some
understand
of
that,
them.
but whenever, you know, somebody's upstairs mad because
Some
the girl got 15 minute
Yeah.
lunch,
No,
that's not,
It was marked down on their sheet, 15 minutes. I didn't say they worked them 15
Yeah.
minutes, so you're fine. But when I asked the auditor, I said, what about counting your lunch hour on the pay scale? He said, no, you cannot do that. Right, but there are some that do. And
You already called.
he said, why are they doing
We
that?
done that.
We done the motion, yeah. We'll move on. Number 10 is private act.
Yeah, no, we didn't. What was the motion?
We voted.
We voted.
you tabled it.
We tabled.
We voted to table.
We voted table, I thought, and just on.
You passed.
You paid your
John
And you're telling me,
We discussed it for 30 minutes, why not ask?
I know, we discussed us long, I forget if I voted. Then I forget I took the
Now, when you read that,
Yeah,
thank you.
those of you who were in the redistricting committee meetings know that there is a private act on the books that sets our school board districts to 3 districts, 3 commissioners apiece. The private act I'm about to read to you would repeal that, so. Private Act number 12-1-21, Private Act of Polk County, Tennessee, setting legislative districts for the Polk County school system. Section 1, Chapter 190 of the Private Acts of 1975 is amended by Chapter 114 of the Private Acts of 1977 Chapter 71 of the Private Acts of 1981, Chapter 197 of the Private Acts of 1982, Private Acts of 2002, Chapter 118, and all other acts amendatory thereto are hereby repealed. Section 2. Polk County shall be divided into 4 school districts, a substantially equal population which shall be coextensive with the 4 county commission districts as established by resolution of the county legislative body of Polk County. Section 3. The Polk County Board of Education shall consist of 10 members, comprised of 3 members from Legislative District 1, 2 members from Legislative District 2, 3 members from Legislative District 3, and 2 members from Legislative District 4. Polk County Board of Education members shall be elected by qualified voters in each school district. Board members shall be elected to staggered 4-year terms, so that every 2 years the terms of approximately 1/2 of the members of the board shall expire. Persons elected in the regular August election shall take office on September 1st following the elections, and shall serve until their successors are duly elected and qualified. Section 4. The current terms of incumbent members of the Polk County Board of Education shall not be cut short as a result of changes in the school districts as provided in this act. In order to establish staggered 4-year terms and to increase the number of board members from 9 to 10, the board members shall be elected to 4-year terms as follows. At the August 2022 election, 1 board member shall be elected from each of school districts 1, 2, and 3. School District 4 shall elect 2 board members, 1 to a 4-year term and 1 to a 2-year term. At the August 2024 election, 2 board members shall be elected from each of school districts 1 and 3, and 1 board member shall be elected from school districts 2 and 4. Thereafter, board members shall be elected to 4-year terms as each respective board member's term expires. Section 5. The Polk County Board of Education shall have the same powers, duties, privileges, and qualifications as other county boards of education established pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated Title 49. Section 6. If any provision of this act or the application thereof to any person or circumstance is held invalid, such invalidity shall affect other provisions or applications of the act which can be given effect without the invalid provision or application, and to that end the provisions of the act are declared to be severable. Section 7. This act shall have no effect unless it is approved by 2/3 vote of the Polk County Board of Commissioners. Its approval or non-approval shall be proclaimed by the presiding officer of the county legislative body of Polk County and certified by such officer to the Secretary of State. Section 8. For the purpose of approving or rejecting the provisions of this act, it shall be effective upon becoming law of the public welfare requiring it. For all other purposes, it shall become effective upon the being approved as provided in Section 7.
Motion to approve Private Act number 12/121.
Second.
Motion by John, second by Debbie, any discussion? Roll call.
Gregory?
I do have one question.
Ask the question.
How do you determine which one's the 4-year and which one's the 2-year?
We'll flip a coin. It'll be, both of them will be on the ballot. One of them will just be marked as 2-year and one of them.
So there's 2 different positions there? running
Yes.
for?
Yeah.
To make it, because it's not going to end up being 50-50 every 2 years. It's actually going to end up being 6 and 4 because the way the other 2 districts are staggered with 3 commissioners.
It's doable, we have it.
I just wondered how they're gonna come up with who gets the 4 and who gets the 2.
I'll put the first one on the ballot as the 4-year term and the second one as the 2-year term.
Now, it is confusing, but that's just
And
something we gotta do to get it over
When
with.
they pick up petitions, I'll have to clarify which one they want to.
First one turn petition back in this 4-year term?
No, they'll have to tell me which one they want to run for, the 4 or the 2-year term.
Was you working there in April, and boy, it's confusing, and this will be a little, but it's just something you gotta get through to get where, you know, where it needs to be. But you remember up here, somebody resigned from school board, alright, and it was right close to election time, and on the same ballot, you voted for one person to fill out the remainder of that person's term, and you also voted for somebody for a 4-year term.
It's funny you mention that, Greg, because we'll have that same exact
We'll do it again
situation in
this year.
District 3 this year. Because, Mr. Henderson
That's
said
right.
he waited to, is up.
If we put 3 on there, it will be bad, 3 scenarios.
So,
We could wind up doing that too.
I mean, this is the only way I can figure out to do,
Oh, that's gonna work.
keep a rotation.
It'll be a little confusing, but we'll get it behind us, that's all the choice you got, all the way to do it.
We were lucky that the second district, the old second district, it was their time to have 2 spots up.
Yeah.
So I could just cut one of their spots and slide it into the 4th.
Debbie Davis,
Yes.
Daniel Deal,
Yes.
Dewey Estimont,
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey,
Yes.
John Kipinger,
Yeah.
Major Franklin, yes, and James Woody.
Yes.
Jackie, I'll give you $10, you can start calling roll just as soon as the motion is made.
And do what?
Yeah, if you just start calling roll as soon as the second's made, I'll give you $10.
Okay. Done.
You can call it, I'll make that question.
I won't even charge you $10.
Observation pool reservations, renovations, I'm sorry.
Resolution.
I'm trying to hurry through it.
That came in through RFPs, and there was only one bid proposal, 200, I didn't get back, but 240,000, pardon? $284,000.
I'm all fixing that pool.
Is that
Is
enough?
that guy here?
No,
What in the world?
I don't-
Whoa.
I don't know.
I'll make a motion to
So-
reject.
So, hold on, before you do, so, I went ahead and turned those RFPs out again.
I did.
So they are out again, and it is asked to be broke down. Everybody that I've met with talked a breakdown. Pool, pad, kiddie pool, filling, but only one person turned it in, and he turned in the whole job. So it is back out again.
Are the new ones to do it back as is and then add people as a secondary?
The way it reads right now is to do a brand new 40 by 60, I think that's correct, it's in that RFP, but it's a brand new pool, or splash pad, and the splash pad, and, so it's broken down, so if the commission chooses to do the new pool, and you just wanna do a new pool, you can do that. If you want to do a splash pad, if you want to do the kiddie pool, it's all broken down, and it's not gonna be grouped into one like this 280 something.
What about fixing what's there now?
Yeah, I'm not ready what is fixing what's there now.
No, what is there now is,
Can't be fixed.
it's basically unrepairable. You still gotta put new pumps in, it's leaky, it's a tile pool.
Well, it's just got a few leaks in it, and, really the only drain issue is in the deep end, one drain in the deep end. But outside the sand filter and pump, there's just a few cracks in it, I mean, it's not that bad, really.
I mean, it was always explained to me that it was leaking and it was costing around $60 to $80, you know, in water and chemical costs, just to try to keep it going. So,
And, well, the sand filter was one thing that caused the chemicals so much, because you can't change the sand in it.
correct.
And I'm all for doing the pool up here, I absolutely am, I'll support you 100%, but still got a motion to reject the bid that come in. Motion.
You made a motion, anybody second?
Well, I made a motion, I didn't know, you
You
made one,
did.
you did, and I second.
Dewey
Got it.
did it.
Are you making a motion, Mr. Jack, to reject the
To
bid?
reject the bid that come in, because
What the heck's
RFPs
they doing for $250,000?
because RFPs are out again.
But I'm saying that bid for $250,000.
Yeah, I mean, it
Why-
might
Yeah,
be
you can just add $2 to it, for every other person up here in your pool.
So I'll read off what the proposal
No,
was.
you don't, I'm just, that's
Or
a
you
lot
won't
of
see it, but
money.
it was for a 30 by 50 mile water pool
Roll call. Roll
and
call.
splash pad.
Okay, so it's about a replay.
Yes.
Debbie Davis,
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimont.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
John Kipinger.
Yes.
Major Franklin, yes, and James Woody.
Yes.
Now, are y'all gonna make a recommendation?
Yeah, I'd like to make another motion on this.
Make one.
You can have it rolled up with all this the way it's rolled up, but have a separate one to repair what's there. Just to fix the drain in the deep end, fill in the cracks, new sand filter, and a pump. And then fill in the kiddie pool, make it a splash pad. Do it that way.
Okay, you want it now? Because I've already, like I said, I've already got RFPs out that's for like,
Yeah,
That's what
there's
y'all
a few-
seen.
I
So
know
these
there's-
would be
I know
later.
There's a couple of cracks in it, it ain't supposed to be no big deal now, according to, ain't supposed to be no big deal, but fill in the cracks, and then there's a drain issue in the deep end that needs to be fixed.
fill in cracks.
Can you include in that motion to extend the standing RFPs that are currently out to the same date that these come in?
Yeah, when
You
they
can
come, when it's supposed
extend
to
your
come.
date, and that way they'll come in all at once. Everything will be due at the same time. In other words, you put the RFPs out already, right?
Yes.
You can extend that. You have the power to extend it as long as you do it prior to the due date of the acceptance.
So if we turn out RFPs again for this, they would go out and be in the paper by the 23rd of December. Is that right, Walter? Do y'all run? Glenn, will you run? So they would be out next week. That would still give, because if there's somebody that's kind of looked at it, the three that I've had to look at it has all told me you'd be money well spent, or better spent, to not look to repair, to look to shorten down that deep end, because it also cut out the other lifeguards. But we can still do what you're asking, Jeremy, and just turn that out for a repair.
Yeah, for the fire,
So to fix, fill, and repair the cracks.
yeah.
And the filter's okay, Jeremy?
No, the sand filter and
What size filters and pumps? Because with what I have bid out was for the 40 by 60.
Actually, I was told the pump worked. It was the sand filter.
Filter and pump suitable to circulate the amount of
But
water.
yeah,
needed.
suitable,
The-
yeah, suitable filter.
So you just want filtered, not pumped.
Well, if one's gotta go with the other, you know. If you get a smaller sand filter, it's gonna matter about the pump.
If we're gonna do it, I say go ahead and put both and you can get it done, cause that pump's gonna run tire up, it's old, we put that thing in years ago. Might as well just do both.
That's why chemicals, they say so much, because they change the sand, and that big old drum of sand filter.
Did you read the seat?
Yeah, you can't. and
That's what's been done for,
It's like this.
for a long time. The pool's just been patched here and there, and, you know, the pool needs fixed. Really,
Jeremy, what dates it need to be back
not
in by?
patched.
I can have it in by January 10th.
Okay.
Because, evidently there's somebody that.
Yeah, that's, yeah, that'd be fine.
So, he just have a one less
Yeah,
week
we-
than what the others
That'd be
is.
fine.
Mr. Hatcher, you think the pool could possibly be ready by next spring, next season, or is it, according to the bids?
I would say it would all depend upon, as far as all the work that's out and the people that would bid on it to get in. I would say a repair would probably be faster than a total new pool, splash pads and all these other things, so.
Sure to
Now,
go
the other
in
one is
school
still
with
in the kiddie pool.
that. Sure to go in school with that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all
At least
in
by
there.
Anybody will second Jeremy's motion?
Yeah.
Motion by Jeremy, second by Dewey, roll call.
Ray Brooks,
Yes.
Debbie Davis,
Yes.
Daniel Deal,
Yes.
Dewey Estimont,
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey, John Kipinger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent. Yes. And James Woods.
Yes.
Resolution for county property, executive action.
This is for the parcels of property that have been unclaimed through tax sales. It's just to give our county attorney authority to go ahead.
Motion to approve.
Hey, thank you, John.
Resolution, what, 12-2?
12-1-21.
12-1-21, still got to read it.
Got a motion for John, second for Dewey.
You still got to read it, Brooks.
He didn't approve this presenting, so.
Go ahead and read that.
A resolution authorizing certain parcels of property acquired by Polk County, Tennessee at a delinquent tax sale to be offered for sale to an amount less than the total amount of the taxes, penalties, costs, and in turn, interest accumulated on the parcel of property, establishing the minimum bid amount for each parcel of property, authorizing the sale of each parcel of property to the party making the highest and best bid, and the highest and best bid is equal to or greater than the mid bid amount. And number 4, authorizing the county executive to execute a quitclaim deed on behalf of Polk County, Tennessee, conveying the parcels of property to the successful purchaser. Whereas Polk County, Tennessee acquired the parcels of property identified as Exhibit A, attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference at a delinquent tax sale. Whereas it is the best interest of the county to sell the parcels of property, as it will place them back on the tax roll and generate additional tax revenue for the county. Whereas the minimum bid amount placed on each parcel of property identified as Exhibit A, attached hereto and incorporated hence by reference, is less than the total amount of taxes, penalties, costs, and interest accumulated on the parcel of property. Whereas upon application, the Polk County Commission may grant permission to offer for sale
a parcel of property for less than the total amount of taxes, penalties, costs, and interest accumulated on the parcel of property. If the commission determines that this is impossible to sell the parcel of property for the total amount of it, whereas the Polk County Commission has determined that it is impossible to sell the parcels of property for the total amount of taxes, penalties, costs, and interest accumulated on the parcel of property to be the minimum bid amount of fair and recess reasonable. Now therefore be it resolved by this legislative body in session and assembly that the parcels of property may be offered for sale in an amount less than the total amount of taxes, penalties, cost, and interest accumulated to the parcel of property. That the minimum bid amount shall be the amount identified as Exhibit A and attached hereto and incorporated here since in reference. That the parcels of property may be sold to the party making the highest and best bid. If the highest and best bid is equal to or greater than the minimum bid, and that number 4, the county executive is authorized to execute a quitclaim deed on behalf of Polk County, Tennessee, conveying parcel of properties to a successful purchaser. Be it therefore resolved that this resolution take effect from and after its passage, the public welfare requiring it on this the 16th day of December 2021.
We already had a motion by John Holt, and second by second by you. Are you ready? Anybody else got any discussion? Roll call.
Ray Brooks.
Yes.
David Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov. Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
John Pittenger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent, yes. And James Wade.
Yes.
We got two things we need to suspend the rules for. Mike.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll second.
Motion by Jeremy, second by John Holt. Can we cover two things? We got to suspend the rules twice.
You just gotta state what it's suspended for, Brooks.
One of them is broadband expansion, and one of them is for Miss Collins' bonus. I did tell, I forget who I told, that I put that on the agenda for Levon, and I did forget, but I knew we'd suspend the rules. So it's concerning her bonus and broadband expansion.
I make a motion that we move the bonus, start date to July 15th. If they were here July 15th or after, either, active employee or if they retired, they won't be penalized.
I think she's the only one that get right.
As far as I know, but I'm not going to say just one person, I'm going to put a time frame to make it clear. July 15th. And you retired, Ravon.
September 1st.
When?
September 1st of this year.
September 1st.
Uh-huh.
What year?
2021 this year.
I'll second.
Motion by John, second by Jeremy. Any more discussion?
But just to point out, this does not include if somebody's left this and that, this is
Retired.
retired, you know,
Full years of service or something, or
well,
retired
up until
age.
that, yeah.
No, what bonus we give last month, the $1,200. If I'd have been thinking, I'd brought it up then.
That's for anybody in that time period that's retired.
Yeah.
Which is on her.
Well, as far as we know, it's just one person, but. Roll call.
Ray Brooks.
Yes.
David Davis. David Davis.
Yes.
Daniel Deal.
Yes.
Dewey Estimov.
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey.
Yes.
John Pittenger.
Yes.
Samantha Trent, yes. And James Wade.
Vaughn, we're sorry
Thank
we
you.
looked over that. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it.
31 years.
Well, thank you very much, all of y'all.
You're in the same position that we talked about with the sheriff's office and road department. You probably drove across either one or two state lines.
Oh,
Made
yeah.
a whole lot
Mhm.
more money, so
Yeah,
maybe that'll show your appreciation for sticking that for 31 years anyway.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Next. What else we got? Broadband, internet. Give it one.
You want to vote on it?
We have enough of them? Yeah. We have a resolution to go into agreement with Array Communications for broadband internet expansion to cover 82% of the county. We've been going back and forth with them, checking in to make sure whether it is feasible, whether they've really got the ability to do it, and every single thing I've investigated says, yes, they can do it, and yes, they have the ability to do it. And it's gonna be backed up by a bond. So here is the resolution for internet service agreement. This internet service agreement is entered into effective as of the 16th day of December 2021 between Array Communications, LLC, doing business as Ocoee Communications, hereafter referred to as Ocoee, and Polk County, Tennessee, a governmental entity, herein referred to as the entity. Whereas entity is desirous of making internet service available to members of its community through the use of federal infrastructure funds, and whereas Ocoee has the technology and know-how to set up systems to make such service available, now therefore be it resolved by the Polk County Legislative Body beginning this 16th day of December 2021 that for good and valuable consideration the parties agree as follows. Installation fee. The entity will pay Ocoee a one-time fee of $573,000 for installation of broadband mesh network communication system, herein known as the system, capable of providing internet service to members of the community with a minimum of 1 gigabyte synchronous bandwidth available for all customers. Ocoee will arrange for issuance of a performance bond in the amount of $573,000. The fee from the entity to Ocoee shall be paid in full no later than 5 working days after the date of this agreement, provided that proof of a performance bond acceptable to the entity has been obtained. If needed, additional fees from the entity to Ocoee may be negotiated for future expansion above the 80% coverage area. See attached map. And we have the map here which covers basically all of the inhabited area of Polk County, from north to south, east to west, including Turtletown and Farner. All right.
And everything between.
Except for the dense areas of the forest where it says nobody lives. And that could be for future expansion if somebody moves there. Installment timing. Ocoee will have the system up and running within 60 days and complete installation of the system no later than 120 days after the payment of installation fees, subject to final inspection by the entity. Section 3, customers. Ocoee will furnish all forms, formats, applications necessary to sign up customers in the community for such service and will provide proper instruction and training on the process for sign up. The entity will cooperate in furnishing resources on the potential customer base. Billing. Ocoee will be responsible for setting up systems for billing customers for the service and for the handling of the building services. Section 5, maintenance. Ocoee will be solely responsible for maintaining the system and providing such personnel, equipment, and services necessary to keep the system fully operational at all levels. Section 6, revenue sharing. This is a big one. Ocoee will share net revenue with the entity on the following basis. After 1,000 customers are signed up and paying revenue, with all net revenue for the first 1,000 customers to be solely payable and distributed to Ocoee. After 1,000, 20% of the net revenue will return to the entity, which is Polk County. After 2,000, 30%. After 3,000, 40%. After 4,000, they will split it 50-50 with us. That will bring a tremendous amount of revenue to the county. And their addresses are Ocoee, Array Communications, LLC, 1802 West 57th Street in Chattanooga, and the entity is, of course, Polk County Government, P.O. Box 128, Memphis, Tennessee. Neither party will be liable for or will be considered to be in breach or default under this agreement on account of any delay or failure to perform as required by this agreement as a result of any causes or conditions that are beyond the party's reasonable control, and that such party is unable to overcome through the exercise of commercially reasonable diligence. If any force majeure events occur, the affected party will give prompt written notice to the other party and will be commercially responsible for efforts to minimize the impact of them. In other words, if we got a big snowstorm or a tornado comes through and tears stuff up, we're going to give them extra time. Hopefully that nothing will happen. Ocoee agrees to indemnify and hold entity harmless against all and any and all liabilities, losses, damages, costs, and expenses which may occur, including but not limited to attorney's fees, costs which the entity may be required to pay directly by reason of error or omission by Ocoee which directly or indirectly results in any liability, loss, or damage to the entity. So they've taken all the liability to themselves, we're responsible for nothing. This resolution shall become effective upon passage contingent upon the mesh network being acceptable use of ARP funds. The public welfare requirement adopted this 16th day of December 2021.
Question, is there something in there dealing with the performance bond?
Yes,
What did it say again? I missed
an
it.
acceptable one to us.
It's been negotiated by us.
And you have no problem with that performance bond stating that you will service the areas at the speeds that you present?
Yes, sir, we talked about that.
We did, but I wanna make it open to the public that you say the performance bond will reflect the speeds and the service area that y'all present.
Absolutely.
Let's skip the page. Skip it back. Oh, skip it back. Oh.
One more question, Mr. Dewey, will you read the back, please?
Yes, sir. Section 7, definition of net revenue. Net revenue shall mean all gross billings received from customers less operating expenses, including any operation and maintenance expenses with labor and materials charged at standard industry rates. Ocoee shall provide detailed net revenue reports to the entity not less than quarterly. He does plan to employ people from Polk County to run this. In fact, he has already hired somebody from Polk County to design and build their website, and it wasn't me. The term of this agreement shall be for 25 years and shall be extended thereafter on a year-to-year basis unless either party provides notice of termination at least 3 months prior to the end of any calendar year. Should Ocoee fail to perform or cease operation, all equipment and revenue Ocoee set up and operations shall become property of the entity. So if he goes out of business, we get it. Intellectual property, all trademarks, trade names, know-hows, patent systems, and all other intellectual property utilized, licensed, or owned by Ocoee for necessary purposes of this agreement shall remain the sole property of Ocoee unless he goes out of business. Governing decisions, management decisions regarding the system shall be determined equally by Ocoee and Polk County. In the event of a deadlock, the parties shall resort to the dispute resolution process in section 12A. In other words, Polk County will have a voice in what they're doing. Internet to government facilities. Internet services will be provided at no charge to all Polk County government-owned facilities upon request. This includes such places as the courthouse, election commission, polling places during elections, community centers, sanitation convenience centers, 911 center, library, and other Polk County-owned facilities that may request it. That's going to save us a lot of money right there. Miscellaneous. In the event legal action is instituted to enforce this agreement, the prevailing party shall be entitled to reasonable attorney fees and actual costs incurred in connection with such action. Any dispute will be submitted to a mediator agreed to by the parties. Failing with such a dispute will be submitted to a binding private arbitration with the arbitrator agreed upon by the parties. This agreement shall ensure to the benefit of and be binding upon all parties, their successors, and assigns. This agreement may not be assigned without private approval of the non-assigning party. In other words, if he sells the company, they have to live by the agreement too. This agreement reflects the entire agreement of the parties hereto and is intended to be complete and exclusive statement of the terms thereof. It may not be modified or rescinded except in writing approved by the parties. This agreement, the relative rights and obligations of the parties hereunder, and all performance hereunder shall be governed by and constituted in accordance with the laws of the state of Tennessee. All notices given hereunder shall be in writing, or if oral, shall be confirmed in writing, and shall be deemed given when delivered to the parties at the addresses which are read.
A couple of things that I've noticed that was this service, this Wi-Fi, rural areas, we've got a lot of students in those rural areas that would benefit, don't we? I mean, as far as when they do the homeschooling and things from the school, that would be available for them to use in the areas that they don't have anything, right?
Correct.
Secondly, we've got a lot of fire departments in rural areas, just barely have cell service or anything else. That would help them too, wouldn't it? As far as having Wi-Fi and it being available.
The mesh network works a little bit different than the regular network in that it gives out the internet signal in the area. which means I don't have to be on my computer in the house to use it. I can get it on my phone and have internet connections. Is that true? So if I'm out in the state park taking a hike, I am gonna still have internet access as long as it's in the mesh. And if I don't have cell service, I can use that internet service to make calls over internet calls. So it's a great thing.
I mean, right now, even our, sanitation side employee in Farner, you can't even call us, can you?
Yeah, that's what I'm
I mean,
talking
you gotta have a
about.
landline.
Yes, we have to have a landline for
Yeah.
2 of our sanitation sites. And if you heard correct, our sanitation sites will be included in this.
Yeah.
Our polling places will also be included in this.
And that's the problem out in Turtletown.
Correct.
You can't, you gotta come to Ducktown to
Correct.
do anything.
And also, Keith probably relate to this, my son, Dave, you've heard him mention,
That's one
there's a lot of
thing.
places, their cell phones don't work.
Yeah.
And the radios don't work. And
That's one of the
when that
things.
radio don't work, you at least ought to have your cell phone, you got to call for backup.
That could be life or death.
Yeah, there's several situations, I'm sure you've seen a bunch of it, Keith, over you, that they don't got a lifeline whatsoever.
Mr. Dewey, you may have said, what's the minimum upload and download speed?
1 gig,
No complaints.
no complaints.
But they changed it, it was marked at 500 up and down.
They're gonna get the signal out. In the mesh area, it may only reach 500 if it's on the edge of it. Is that correct, sir?
Or it laps over, pretty faster, right?
Yes, sir, we're gonna put enough we're gonna put enough bandwidth into the network. Initially, some areas may only be 500, but as soon as we see that, we're gonna, apply more bandwidth, so everybody can have a
So-
gig service.
Once y'all approve this, in 120 days, it's gonna be up and running.
Yes, sir.
Completed.
Completed.
Yes, sir.
They'll be up and running in 60, right?
Up and running.
Okay, but I mean, you know,
Completed in 120, which is
Some
time
of
for the
it-
election. Is that correct?
Yeah. I would have the hardware to take advantage of it in my polling places in 120 days. But that'll open up the possibility of electronic poll books and all sorts of good things for future elections.
well, that's the feel-good thing, but something else we look at,
Make a
business,
motion.
commercial business.
A second.
Motion by James, second by you, roll call.
Greg Brooks,
Yes.
Debbie Davis,
Yes.
Daniel Deal,
Yes.
Dewey Estimate,
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey,
Yes.
John Kipinger,
Yes.
Samantha Trentham, yes, James Woody.
Yes.
Now, Mr. State,
The one thing, if this doesn't turn out in 120 days, it's going to have to have a performance bond.
I do want to make another motion pertaining to this. I make a motion that the web committee and the executive go approve the bond that we have. That way, John Hoyt,
Nope, the web committee, the committee cannot take the power of the commission.
If they give it to us.
The commission. it
Y'all
can
can make
recommend to the
recommendation
commission,
too
but cannot
for-
take-
we don't want to wait till next
recommendations.
month to be able to do it.
Well, you can't do it, that's law. The commission cannot give authority to the committee for finalization, only to the board. The committee can recommend that for the commission.
Can we give it to the county exec?
Yes, you can if you do it by the county board. If the commission votes to allow the county executive to approve a bond,
And he can take the recommendation of the web committee, which includes you.
the committee doesn't have the power.
I make that motion that we give the county exec
Authority to
authority
sign, to accept the
accept
performance
the
bond.
performance bond.
That's after the web committee
No recommendation.
has
Web committee.
a recommendation. Okay, I second.
motion by Dewey, second by Debbie, any discussion on the bond? Roll call.
Greg Brooks,
Yes.
Debbie Davis,
Yes.
Daniel Deal,
Yes.
Dewey Estimate,
Yes.
Jeremy Kinsey,
Yes.
John Kipinger,
Yes.
Samantha Trentham, yes, James Woody.
Yes.
Can we have a motion?
When he gets the bond to us, we'll have to call it. We need the bond so we can call the meeting.
I'll have that tomorrow.
You'll have that tomorrow?
Next question.
Can you not, will it, don't be able to wait till after Christmas, or when it's that bad next week, or what?
He can get it to us tomorrow, we can get it out to the committee and find a day as quick as we can.
Well, yeah, since you ain't gotta do a full commission, that's right.
What about Tuesday, 21st, Mr. Gibb?
I have no problem with it. Is that a way of getting out to your own committee?
Let me check my works. Yeah, we did that. Yeah. What time?
Don't matter to me, we're off. It's up to the manager. 6 is fine with me.
6 o'clock.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I'll be here, yeah.
Okay. James, is that okay with you?
And we'll have, one more art committee meeting before the January 20th meeting. I'll get everybody and see when we have it, I will get some, I'll let everybody know, department heads, if they don't come, get forward.
Get the form out to them.
Yep.
In case we do hourly instead of across the board. Well, we need the paper anyway for hourly, free. Even if we do across the board.
Anybody else got anything?
Petitions go out Monday.
Uh,
Start picking up your petitions.
So everybody's aware, the courthouse will be closed on all county buildings, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th. That's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. They'll also be closed on Friday, the 31st, and Monday, the 3rd. That's all county buildings. The most important, the dumps. I heard a snicker, but trust me, it will come out. The dumps will be closing a half a day for Christmas Eve on the 24th at 1 o'clock. So if you have any business to do with the dumps before then, and you show up, please don't be mad, but I am gonna let the workers off. We do it every year. It was like that even before the county took over. So on Christmas Eve, on the 24th, dumps will close at 1 o'clock. All dumps will be closed on the 25th. So you need to go half a day before on there. Same thing. So they will be, the dumps will be closed on Saturday, January the 1st. So you have 2 back-to-back weekends that the dump will be closed. I would highly recommend wait till Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because I believe everybody knows it's gonna be very chaotic. But just wanna let that out. But all county buildings will be closed, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 31st, the 30th, the 1st, the 2nd, and the 3rd. John Boyd almost got his wish. John's always tried to get me shut down for 2 weeks, but we did give a little more this year. It was the way it felt.
everything you get.
Make a motion adjourned.
Motion adjourned.